Shaken, not stirred for the theme.
Yes.
Yes.
So, is your whole, like, do you like James Bond less now?
I feel like...
I was expecting more.
Yeah.
From the very original one of the first Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Like, the internet comments of Bond fans rave about this movie and about Sean Connery.
Right.
And I guess, like, mostly what you have there is people who grew up, those are the first ones they watched.
Right.
And it meant something in that time, in that context.
Yeah, and I relate to that. So, like, my history with Bond is that as a kid, I think I watched the Pierce Brosnan one and I thought he was cute. And so I had a crush on him. But as far as my dad was concerned, I just liked James Bond. And so then it was like, we're going to watch all the Bond movies. And Dr. No, I remember really liking that because it was like, they were around the ocean. And like I said, the girl, Honey Rider, who appeared, like, she's like a mermaid coming out of the water with these shells. And I was just like, yes, I love this. This is for me. But I loved it when I was a kid, and watching it again, I was like, when I came over to watch it, I was like really excited. And by the end, I was like, when will this be over?
You could not shut the fuck up in the last 20 minutes.
It was bad. Yeah.
Yeah, what changed in the last 20 minutes that you were so upset?
Okay, so...
the last 20 minutes is fully in the lair of the villain.
Yes, so I have my...
And you don't even get to the lair.
Right.
Or meet the villain until that last 20 minutes of this 2-hour film.
Yes. So something that I don't really love about most, like, action agent kind of movies is that beginning part where there's, like, a guy in, like, a information room with a headset, and they're like, okay, we're getting this, like, message, and, like, okay, call the guy. And then, like, the agent shows up, and the boss tells him, like, here's your thing, and that exposition to me is, like, so fucking boring.
At 12:57 p.m. military time, our agent in this country went offline.
Yeah, like, I never like that part, but I'm always like, okay, I'll, like, hang in there. But I'm starting to think it just doesn't, maybe it's like a very masculine way of doing it, but to me it's so boring. But it's the beginning of the movie, so I'm like, sure, whatever, they're setting up a vibe. But the fact that this was, like, supposed to be reaching climax, and then it takes you back into that setting where it's just guys behind a desk, like, you're supposed to be feeling like, oh my god, the power of, like, this nuclear event, and it's just like nerds sitting around a computer. I don't care about that at all. And this is supposed to be the climax of the film.
Yeah, the like final most tense moments are just James Bond hiding in a corner while nerds fiddle with knobs.
I hate that. And
for a really long time.
Yeah. And then, like, okay, the one thing that was good about it is that layer situation. Like the whole place is cool. But
the whole set, that last big set of, like, where the nuclear device
that big set is so interesting, but it's not used well. We've seen that same thing in Metropolis where it's used in, like, the coolest way, and you're like, what is happening? It's beautiful. And it could have been, like, more like that.
You're talking about when he goes to the heart machine at the very beginning of the film.
And, like, any time that those kinds of machines are represented, the people working them are kind of, there's, like, a choreography happening that gives you the sensation of, like, the intensity of the moment. But this was, like, so dull. And maybe that represents, like, the heartlessness of the scientists working with, you know, nuclear stuff. But, like, that doesn't, for the context of this movie, it's all about, like, the vibe and the intensity of it, and it's just completely shot for me. You know? Are you engaged when you get to that part of the movie? Or are you like, this is happening?
I was just navigating like you shouting in disappointment.
I was not shouting disappointment.
While I was trying to like watch the end of the film, but it was
Okay.
it was very drawn out and silent and boring. And he like is crawling through pipes forever.
Water goes over him, but somehow that's supposed to be scary, but doesn't feel scary.
We like Dr. No was like, he was the most interesting when he was like unseen.
Yes.
And you only like saw like the kinds of environments he creates.
Totally.
And the vibe he creates.
Yeah.
And then it was really cool to see him walk into a room and see that his hands are fucking weird and glossy black.
Yeah.
Of course, then like he doesn't do anything in that scene.
He picks up a sheet and then drops it again.
And then like so then there's a kind of intellectual jousting match, like meeting the villain when they have dinner together. Mm-hmm. That's like weird.
Yeah.
Like James Bond dismisses the damsel Honey Rider to like try and protect her.
Yeah.
But then like doesn't foresee that the only people to take her away are the evil guy's guards.
Right. I don't know if we want to say this now, but I will. That there's the implication that she's going to be like raped by them.
Yes.
And the like earlier on when they're like first beginning to have like an intimate, like not like sexual, but just like talking to each other, and kind of the beginning of their flirtation, she tells him that she's been like that she was raped and that she like
took revenge in a really brutal way.
Yeah.
That like she took her power back in that situation. Which is
that's cool. But then like the exact next thing that happens is she asks if he has like a woman, like if he has like a girlfriend or a wife or something. And I just hate that that's like how her sexuality, it's like I've been raped. What's up with you? Like, that's fucked up. I hate that. That's so stupid.
So anyway, are you single?
Oh God. I hate that so much. And it's like, I think when I was a kid and I watched it, I just was so unaware that that's what was happening. So watching it now, like my child self, like loving her and admiring her is just like, really?
So what, should she have not asked if he was single?
Yeah, like just like wait a few beats, you know? Like a little. It's like not make that like, oh now I'm like aroused. Like what the fuck?
Well, she was like that conversation was like telling the story of her life was telling the story of incredibly rugged strength and intelligence.
That's true.
And do-it-yourselfness.
Yeah.
And like her life is entirely in her hands.
Yeah.
And every bad thing has happened to her.
Yeah.
And it's just made her stronger.
Yeah.
And so then she's going like, so I'm your equal. Are you single?
Oh.
Like you're worthy of me.
That's a nice way of reading it. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
But then she didn't like illustrate that in the in the crucial moments of being in the lair. Like we've established that she's an ally, like at Bond level.
Yes.
But then she doesn't do anything in the lair except
so disappointing.
Get like scared and needing to be rescued.
Yeah.
So there's a disconnect there. It was cool. Like fighting Dr. No was cool. It's like his hands were like these like hammers.
That's interesting.
That he could like just bitch slap James Bond, and they're like heavy like rocks.
Yeah.
I'm just jumping around. Awesome. I don't know.
Well, but I want to finish my point about those like kind of framed the whole actual Bond adventure is in these rooms, and I was thinking these movies came from like novels about Bond. That's where his character comes from, and I think that the fact of being in those rooms works way better in a book, like describing what is happening in the room and how it feels and what information is being conveyed. It comes across so much better in a novel. But in a movie, a movie is
like
show don't tell.
Like the dining room?
No, sorry, the like control room, like first where they're getting the information about what happened, and we got to send the agent in, and then it ends again in a room, like a control room kind of space like that,
with
where they're
more headsets and radio communications and knobs and stuff.
Yeah, and so it kind of dissociates from the action of it. And I think, in a book, it's this perfect setting for exposition where you get to feel out the vibes of everything that's going on and, like, get the story. But in a movie, I think it doesn't work. So
what should he have done in that final room?
Like, so he sneaks in and you just get to, like, take it all in. But he should have, like, started a fight immediately and, like... And the action is like, is this thing gonna explode? And you're like watching on like these screens that there's like a rocket shooting up, but like none of the intensity of that can really be felt because it's so displaced. So like...
It was super fucking strange, that last scene. He obviously couldn't just start a ruckus immediately because it was him versus 40 guys.
Yeah, that's true.
And he had to time his disruption.
But, like, storytelling-wise, there could have been a different way to navigate. Like, he's gonna...
Well, storytelling-wise, he should have, like... It would have been cool to see through his eyes when he's coming in. Yeah. Not, like, camera at James Bond... And you see him in a villain suit looking around at things. It should have been like the door opens on you, the audience, and you walk through. Yeah. And like it closes. It like there's a close-up shot of him through the radioactive suit, like looking.
Right.
And then it's you behind his eyes, like trying to take everything in.
Yeah.
And overwhelmed.
Right.
And like, what is this? What is that?
Yeah.
And you get these like quick shots of like that knob, this knob, that thing happening. Dr. No's there, and you're totally overwhelmed.
Totally.
And then James Bond gets to work.
Yeah.
And he like, okay, this guy's first. Like, kill him. Yeah. Twitch this knob. Go to the next thing.
It. Yeah, that would have been better.
So like, create a feeling of overwhelm in the audience. Yeah. And then let James Bond like. Yeah. Piece it all together for you.
Make it feel more present. And I think that's what more modern Bond movies and action movies do, like sort of like Jason Bourne or something. But this I love old like 60s movies. I don't think that I'm I don't know, but this I was really surprised at the quality. It felt like it was made for TV. Like it felt like it was like Gilligan's Island or something.
When the movie did clear up, because it kept getting fuzzy. Like half the film was really fuzzy because it was streaming fucking weird and terribly. But when it did clear up, it was so beautiful. It was this like 4K restoration. Right. Like the water looked so good. The ferns.
She looked so beautiful.
Everyone's faces looked so shiny and perfect, and even all the dudes' wrinkles were like, oh, that's such a distinguished English man.
Yeah. Oh, God.
It was a beautiful looking movie, I thought.
Yeah, there were some really cool, like
so many big open shots.
Yeah, like the whole architecture of the place and the colors they were working with. There's like the blues and the intense like orange red coral vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
You know the room that the professor goes into to talk to Dr. No? He just sits in the chair and there's that big grate above him, that room.
It's this like avant-garde, abstract, brutalist architecture room with the shadows of the grate overhead intentionally built to cast a cool shape of silhouette against the ground.
Yeah, so cool. And I was thinking that reminds me of I think it's in Mulholland Drive, like the director has to go talk to like a mafia guy in a wheelchair. Is that right? Do you know what I'm talking about?
You're right, yeah.
Yeah, those scenes are so cool. What is that called? I love that. That creates a real sense of like the dragon is like imminently before us and terrifying and scary, and yet also we have no idea what it is or what's going on.
What is what called?
That kind of scene where you're like in this room, like receiving information from the like
like the villain,
evil master guy, but
you're in like a room of his, but you're not seeing him, but he's like, it's a lackey like receiving orders. Just being in there is really like terrifying,
right?
For the lackey. There's this mystery and allure that's exuding from Dr. No. And those are the only like surreal moments of the film.
Yeah.
And the only like breaks of normalcy.
Yeah.
And so like, and then meeting Dr. No himself.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
It's really weird. And
like every piece of like his story that he shares is like, but why are you like this?
Yeah, world domination, the works, like it's, evil villain stuff. It just feels, it feels like absurd.
It's a thing you see in media, I mean, since the 60s at least, apparently, where the most interesting characters and the most interesting sets are like because of the evil guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, shouldn't the good like be even more cool looking?
The Harkonnen house thing, same vibe.
In Dune, yeah, like really striking and beautiful and haunting, like feelings exuding from the Harkonnen scenes in Dune. And there's a way in which the unfamiliar is immediately associated in the human mind with the snake in the grass. Mm-hmm. Like if it's unfamiliar and new and novel, your before thought is your predator sense. Like, is this a predator?
Right.
So it makes an unconscious evolutionary sense that the unfamiliar and the alien is strongly associated with the villain.
And maybe like something else that doesn't work for me about that last scene in the nuclear control room thing is it feels like more normal. I mean, maybe at the time it didn't, but I'm so used to seeing images of rooms like that.
Right. I mean, we've seen that in all three of the Austin Powers movies.
Of course we have.
We're in a room like that for like half of those films.
Oh god.
And they're wearing suits, radioactive, like weird bubble suits like that, just because it's funny.
I've never seen any of those movies. I never will.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you never will?
Well, I really don't want to. That's what I can say.
They're great.
I hate that kind of humor.
Like toilet humor?
Yeah, it's not my vibe.
They're so good, though. They're so good.
But yeah, the thing you asked about Dr. No when he came on the screen is like, is this like yellow face? Is this what's happening? And I can't think of what year Audrey Hepburn or the Breakfast at Tiffany's movie came out. But
is she doing yellow face?
No, that would be fucked up.
Movie.
But her neighbor does. Like he's like the comic character in the movie, and she's her upstairs neighbor that she's always ringing his bell, so he'll let her in because her keys are missing all the time.
Okay.
And he's supposed to be Chinese, and he's a white guy that puts on like a really ridiculous facial expression, and it's like it's really
there's
bad
like,
to see.
There's like a buck tooth thing that was the caricature for a long time.
Yeah, and he does that, and it's yeah,
we had some classic racial role playing.
Yeah, with Coral. Yeah.
Yeah, the black ally who is overcome with superstitious fear are just around the whole island, but then is like, when he confronts the illusion of the dragon, he's like way fucking terrified.
Yeah.
And like helping anyway, and helping attack the tank that's dressed up to look like a dragon, but then just gets fucking torched.
Yeah.
Which was visually it was hilarious.
So stupid. Like I was thinking about that and the different I feel like I overuse the word archetypes, but perhaps different archetypes that were at play.
I think we all do.
Yeah. And
analyzing a piece of art, you're gonna say the word archetypes
like 60 times.
Yeah.
But thinking about James Bond, I was trying to understand like what sort of character he is, and like he's British, right? But I feel like he represents like this very American type of spirit, or maybe just like Western man kind of spirit. And he's supposed to be like charming and handsome, and he just like flirts with every girl he sees, and he's like staying up all night gambling, but he's just like ready to go do anything. I was really struck by how much he felt like in the way that he was flirting with Moneypenny, and then had to kind of be like told what to do next. I was feeling the way that he was really making me think of a boy that plays football in high school and is like very charming to his teachers, but like doesn't necessarily like know what to do on his own. Like, do you know what I mean? Like he has no like angst, he has no personal drive, but he's got like the charm and the like swagger and the like physical ability to complete a mission given to him. Probably it's a strange personality type for me that I don't understand.
Well, I think it was a little weirder in the beginning briefing scenes when he had to be like ordered different things. He had to be ordered to change his gun.
Yeah.
He had to be like snapped to attention because his chief officer knew he was just going to flirt with the Moneypenny for another 20 minutes if he didn't get like checked. Yes, that was weird, but it was more accurate to his archetype in just when he was the team leader in all the other situations.
Yeah.
When he had a team,
he
immediately knew like what each person was ideal to be assigned to.
Yeah.
And like, this is what you're good at. Go do it. You go do this.
Which is why I feel like he's like a high school football quarterback. I guess like the Daniel Craig portrayal is much more moody and like
there's pain behind his eyes.
Yeah.
And they were, with the first Daniel Craig movie, they were attempting to show you what drives Bond.
Okay.
And show you how he became such a chauvinist.
Okay.
Because the first time he fell in love and was ready to give up his job, she betrayed him.
Yeah.
And then brutally died. And then turned out to be like doing it for good reasons.
Yeah.
But he was already fucking like broken.
Yeah.
By the time he found that out.
Tragic.
But yeah, that movie ended weird. I said that in my little review thing. Like, I don't even watch the end of that film anymore. It's so like not part of the momentum of the rest of Casino Royale.
Yeah.
It's like the movie's already done.
Yeah.
And then it like continues on into this. Like it would have been cool if then the next movie that it like rolls into with the very last moment of Casino Royale, and then the next movie, Quantum of Solace, like picks up at that moment.
Yeah.
But then that movie is terrible.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the movie after that is pretty bad. And the movie after it is pretty bad. And then I haven't seen.
We hate James Bond.
I haven't seen No Time to Die yet.
Oh.
But Joe said it was fucking terrible.
Really? I still have a soft spot for James Bond. It's true. I want it to be good.
I fucking love James Bond.
Yeah.
GoldenEye, Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
And The World Is Not Enough. The world is not enough.
The Spy That Loved Me. That's like between Sean Connery and Pierce Brosnan. I don't even know who plays.
Yeah, I think Bond is fucking sick. I think he's it didn't like land very well in this movie.
Yeah.
This aspect of it, that he was in the wolves' den, and he was aware of it, and like close calls are happening like a few times a day while he's out there, but it's expected, and he's, as much as he can, he's preparing for it and trying to anticipate it, but a lot of things throw him too.
Yeah.
But he doesn't lose sleep over it.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like get stressed and not eat about it.
Yeah.
He like...
Right, yeah. You eat at a time like this.
Yeah. 'Cause I'm hungry.
Yeah. That's beautiful, yeah.
So that's very like part of the soul of what is powerful about James Bond is he just walks into the wolves' den and does the best he can.
Yeah.
And it works out.
Yeah.
And he keeps his eyes open and like stays on top of things.
So, as we were talking about earlier, I feel like the core interesting piece of this movie is the like femme fatale moment where he asks the secretary out. She tells him to meet her at her house. She's got like a plan to have him killed in a car accident or something. And then he gets rid of that guy.
When that plan fails, she sets up a new trap of like, okay, come get him. I'll seduce him for 2 hours while I wait for you to get here.
Right. And and then he flips it on her, and that's like a classic noir femme fatale moment.
Like he pretends to be seduced by her.
Yeah.
And totally under her sway.
Yeah.
But he's completely like playing the whole thing the whole time, and also banging a really hot chick.
Yeah. So like I feel like in a classic noir, what would happen is he'd be seduced by her, she'd put him in a trap, and then he would like not necessarily know that it was her that did it, but he would come to find that out, and she would think he still didn't know. Then they would seduce each other again, and then he would get her, and she would, like, I don't know, die or like mean something.
You know, you beat me.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so there's obviously critiques for such a plot line, but I think that was like the core interesting part of this movie for me. And
was because it was a whole sequence, like it was a few different scenes.
Yeah, exactly.
Of like now they're at the front door of her apartment.
Yeah.
Now they fucked. Now they're fucking again.
Yeah.
Now they're making dinner plans.
Yeah. And they're like against each other, but like also,
Yeah, they keep like, oh, that plan didn't work.
Yeah.
Make a new plan, but let's have sex again while we wait.
Yeah, that's like Mr. and Mrs. Smith vibes. That's great. but yeah, I think that's like where it's most interesting. It should be most interesting on the Crab Key Island, isn't it? Or Crab Key. Mm-hmm. But no, all the vibes are in there.
Well, the vibes were in him solving a mystery in general, like.
Well, yeah, it should be, but I'm saying in the actual effect it had on me was that was the most, like, entertaining, engaging part.
That was the most gripping moment.
Yeah, and then once they're on Crab Key, it feels a little more like, okay, they're having a more direct experience of this thing. It should feel more intense, but it kind of just feels silly. And maybe that's part of James Bond. It's like a bit of, like, quirky, you know.
I think his, like, datedness, like, maybe it was more intense in the 60s in the movie theater.
I'm trying to think of, like, intense.
Because, like, they're, like, getting shot at, and they're having to, like, hide underwater and breathe through bamboo reeds while dudes with machine guns and bloodhounds are, like, looking for them. Like, I can see that being pretty intense to watch.
But, okay, no, I'm thinking of, like, Gone with the Wind. Like, there's, the Civil War happens. Of course, the Civil War is going to be more intense than one man on an island. But that movie is filmed before this one, and the intensity of the, like, violence, it's more visceral. The experience
in
is...
Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
I can't really say, like, what did they do that made that work? I don't know. It's not very useful.
What this movie did well was, like, the sets and the shots and, like, really big shots of, like, ocean.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
This huge red dock against an ocean. And, like, him playing different villains, like the kind of mental jousting he had to do against one villain or another.
Yeah.
And it was simple enough that you were along for the ride. Like, it was a simple enough, like, jousting match of intellects that you could go along for the ride of his thought process.
Totally.
Like, oh, he knows that that's a fake valet driver.
Yeah, right.
And so, but he's getting in the car with him even though he knows? What's he gonna do? I'm trying.
I was so excited for this, and I'm just really enjoying the meme of now me being like, I don't know, James Bond's pretty boring.
Yeah, when has James Bond been, like, that good?
Pierce Brosnan, so cute.
When I was
do no wrong.
When I was 10.
Yeah, that's right.
That's when James Bond is sick.
Oh, God. So, okay, but thinking about that character of, like, very charming, can kind of lead people, but is also just, like, a lover archetype, kind of just wants to, like, play. Like, just wants to enjoy.
Yeah, he really loves life.
Yeah.
Like, you get the sense that he's a spy just because that's the most exciting thing you could do with
because they're like, we'll send you back to intelligence. He's like, no, please, not a desk.
Yeah.
And, yeah, but does that, you were asking, like, or you were talking about masculinity and, like, this being, like, a kind of man worship movie, like, does this tell you anything? Like, what did you get from this?
In terms of masculinity, he's calm and clear-eyed, and he admits when he's afraid.
Aww.
Remember when they're getting ready for dinner?
Yeah.
They're being primped and cleaned and readied for meeting the villain.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I'm glad your hands are sweaty too.
Yeah.
And he's like, of course I'm afraid.
Yeah.
This is fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Aww.
But, like, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
He says, just follow my lead.
Yeah.
And so he's trusting in, like, if I just play my role with conviction, goodness will prevail.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be afraid, because, like, I'm basically a good person, maybe? Like, good always wins. So, like, it's okay to be afraid. I'm still gonna move forward.
Yeah.
Maybe he's saying something like that.
I mean, the villain in this movie is so, like, it's not that believable of an evil, is it? Like, world domination, just blow everybody up.
He's a caricature. He's very loosely drawn.
Yeah, this is,
The villain is.
This is, yeah, so this is what I want to say is, like, if you're thinking of Bond as an image of, like, the ideal American man or English man or just, like, that kind of Western man, I feel like this is my critique of Avatar 2, Blue Avatar. It's like these heroes, they have to be, like, a little bit dumb. Like, they're always written that way. And that annoys me. I mean, maybe it's because you're supposed to identify with them and experience this thing of, like...
And men are dumb.
Well, I don't like that. I don't think it... Like I love Sherlock Holmes. I loved Sherlock Holmes because, you know...
Was James Bond in this movie dumb in a Blue Avatar way?
Yeah, like the scenes where I'm, like, talking about he's, like, flirting with the secretary and, like, he's not super dumb, but I don't admire him as like a
as a emblem of manliness
or just
an ideal of manliness.
Or maybe even just an ideal of being very centered in yourself or something.
Are you also referring back to, like, the quarterback jock thing right now? Is that what you're doing?
I'm trying to. I'm definitely open to being changing my perspective on this, but this is something I see and I'm like, how can I don't understand this. Maybe if I could like it, that could be good.
Yeah, we yearn to see the ideal man portrayed in art.
Well, maybe we don't, and that's why we don't see it.
Maybe we don't want to see the ideal man?
And that's why people aren't making that.
I think we do want to, and just the bare glimmer of it is responsible for an entire franchise of British spy movies.
Fair enough.
The ideal man. I mean, Aragorn is an obvious one. And they're referring to his idealism when Dr. No is saying, like, I didn't kill you, I've led you here, I've been aware, I've been behind the camera of every scene, of everything you've done. I know everything you've done this entire movie. And I haven't killed you because I was so intrigued by your fucking intelligence and ingenuity. And but then, like, Dr. No himself wasn't even, like, that remarkable. Like, it wasn't, they didn't sell me on the massiveness of his nefarious achievement.
You're like,
what
this
exactly?
is, like, really big fish right here, so that's power, I guess.
Right. You made a really sick aquarium.
Oh, God.
So now that we've established that I'm a genius.
Oh my God.
And that was his the dinner scene was Dr. No's moment to, like, say why he is who he is.
Right.
Like, what is his worldview?
Yeah.
And they didn't give a worldview. They didn't give, like, a statement of values and a philosophy. All they gave was, like, a very bare bones bullet point story of, well, I worked for the Chinese government. I stole this much money. And then I tried to work for this government, but they refused me. And I took that badly. As you can see, I took it very badly.
Oh, God. Oh, okay, I had a question. So there's that scene in the beginning where he has to give up the gun that he likes, the little...
A Beretta.
For, like, this other gun that's, like, heavier, shoots straighter or something?
A Walther PPK.
Okay.
It's a bigger gauge of bullet, and it's a more powerful gun.
Okay.
According to the exposition of the film.
Okay, thank you. There was so much time spent on that. Did anything ever come of that? Why?
That was, like, a real, like, sticking point between Bond and his commanding officer was which gun you're supposed to be using. And it didn't change anything about the plot. At all. At all. So that tells me it must have been a carryover from the books. Right. Like a shout out to people who loved the books at that time. Totally. And knew, like, oh, they have to do the gun thing or I'm going to be so upset. Like, oh yes, they did the gun thing.
That's so lame. I hate that.
It didn't fit with things. It fit with, like, building a lore of James Bond-ness. The same way that Moneypenny did. Like, totally. Moneypenny didn't add anything to anything or change anything. But, like... Except to set up a premise for all these films are going to be also a relationship with Moneypenny. Totally. Also a relationship with the commanding officer.
But I think, like... with her, like, at least in the context of this movie, you see his flirtatiousness, and it just, like, adds to, like, he's flirting with the girl at the casino. Now it's with Moneypenny. Like, it's that there's, like, just all these Bond girls, you know, and that's, like, in the context of this movie, she adds to that. But in the context of this movie, the gun, it seems to be asserting that he's like very stubborn or like has like his own favorite way of doing things, but he doesn't come across as stubborn for the rest of the movie as far as I'm concerned, you know?
Well, it undercuts itself. The scene and what it says about Bond undercuts itself because he bows to his commanding officer.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just a pointless moment
Yeah.
of being told which gun he needs to use.
Yeah.
And he's like,
So
oh.
I didn't like that part.
Yeah, it's weird. Dr. No was more powerful in another way of being dated that we can't see because we've seen so many of these films. Like, it was a really weird thing at the time to be captured by the villain and then, like, dressed and fed.
Okay.
And given rooms.
Okay.
And the whole time you're seeing that this is a huge complex.
Yeah.
And who are these fucking people?
Right.
Who are all these people that are like, he has an entire world.
Yes.
He's like established an entire world and all these people are under his control.
Totally.
And how did he fund all this? How did he get the money and the technology?
Right.
And it's all hidden.
Yeah,
like,
that's cool. That's super interesting.
Like the whole time, no one even knows that this facility exists.
Right.
And it takes James Bond, the spy of all spies, to even like solve the mystery that this place even exists.
Yeah.
And then once you find it, it's like a whole world. So like, then the effect of sitting with the villain himself at the dinner table, like what he says at that moment is almost superfluous to, like, in the back of your mind as a theater goer in the 60s is the world he's created for himself.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is, like, I love the experience of exploring that world. That was cool. Liked that. But, like, yeah, you want the villain to be really fascinating, and instead he was like a dude.
He was just this dude with black gloves that talked in a monotone.
Yeah.
And was resentful about like not getting some jobs.
Yeah.
That he felt like he deserved.
Yeah.
I love that the establishment of his like genius is an aquarium.
The glass magnifies them. Oh my god.
Well, do we have anything else to say?
Well, okay, so thinking about that scene in the control room and how...
The final scene.
Yeah. And it just really made me miss, or it made me, like, think about Metropolis and how successful Metropolis was with a similar set. And I was thinking, like, that I want to go back to, like, that kind of, like, you know, film history 101, like what's after Metropolis that we can, like, absorb. And
like the control room scene of Bond is making you want to return to the 20s.
Yeah.
And see something that iterates upon Metropolis.
I don't even know if it needs to be related to, like, technology or something, but just, how were they imagining this stuff back then? Like, Fritz Lang imagined it in such a beautiful, creative, dreamlike way that almost made it feel like a play. Mm-hmm. And I want that feeling again.
Yeah, so did we, like, have portrayals in cinema of like overtly ideal men? Like, was James Bond so big at the time because cinema didn't bother with like focusing on the man, capital M? Is that something that was going on?
Well, the other thing that I thought of when we were talking about like masculinity was that this is the era, like obviously Mad Men was created in like 2010s or something, but the show, but when this Bond movie came out, that was the era of Mad Men. Mm-hmm. And
the 60s.
Yeah, and that was, I feel like in many ways is marked as like a shift in cultural consciousness of like, I mean, yeah, what roles of men are and what roles of women are. And for like Mad Men people, it involves like drinking a lot and cheating on their wives and like having the marketing lens on things that we're gonna like sell a narrative rather than like have some structure that we like deeply believe in that's orienting our lives.
Okay.
So there's like a nihilism that I'm trying to point to around that time.
In the 60s.
In the 60s. So then, okay, what's like the opposite of that? Maybe the opposite of that is like Ben-Hur.
When did that come out?
I don't know. Maybe like the 40s. It's like a pretty old film. It was like the Pope's favorite film. And it's about this man who meets Jesus Christ, and it's all like, yeah, biblical. It's like.
And has Ben-Hur like heroic in his film?
Yeah.
Is it super long?
Yeah, super, super long. Do one of those again.
Yeah, all I remember about Ben-Hur is being young, being told by like my older sister that like it's so good.
Yeah, you have to watch it.
And then me like, but it's so old and it's so long. No way.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And then the name just put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Ben-Hur?
Yeah.
No, I'm not watching a movie called Ben-Hur, made in the 40s or whatever. That's fucking that long.
Yeah. Yikes. I remember I was probably like 10 or something, and my dad was like, okay, it's time. And I was like, okay. And there's this classic chariot race scene.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway. That's enough.
The dragon tank thing of this movie was so weird.
I know.
What the fuck?
I know.
See, these weird moments of this film are weird because I don't know what the artistic intent of this scene is.
Yeah.
Like, how am I supposed to feel?
Like, it feels silly.
Like, what am I supposed to be experiencing right now? Seeing a tank that's dressed up and painted.
Yeah.
It has teeth painted on it.
Yeah.
And there's fire breathing out the front.
Right.
And they're shooting 9mm pistols at it.
Yeah,
from
right.
50 yards away, as if that's gonna do something. Yeah. What the fuck is happening?
Yeah. Like, that's not gonna work. We know this. I don't know. Did they not know that in the 60s? I feel like wasn't that war had been televised at that point, right?
They didn't know that tarantulas were completely harmless.
They didn't?
In the 60s. Well, if they did know, then they would never have made a high intensity, like near-death scene involving a tarantula.
That was embarrassing. Yeah, and then
That is so funny. They played a tarantula in his bed sheets with more dramatic intensity than like a guy with a gun.
But I didn't know that tarantulas weren't venomous or poisonous the first time that I watched it as a kid. Okay. And so to me as a kid, that was the scariest. Like I had nightmares about it for like.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
I love nightmares. It's great.
Well, it's just cool.
Yeah.
When tarantulas like get their due in someone's imagination.
It's like, I'm like big and scary, but also like fuzzy and cute, and like, how are you gonna perceive me?
Yeah. Like, I can't actually hurt you, but you don't know that.
Wow. Yeah.
I had a couple tarantulas growing up.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah? Okay. All right.
Yeah. First tarantulas, then baby Satan. It all makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything else to say about Dr. No? His allure, the points of like feeling anything in this movie were like when the lackey came into the No room to be like questioned by Dr. No.
Yeah, that was like maybe the best.
And like the general aura coming from Dr. No of strangeness and otherworldliness. Mm-hmm. Like there was that moment with Professor whatever the fuck being questioned by Dr. No in the really cool room, and just like from the belly down to his shoes of Dr. No himself entering the room while James Bond was asleep. Yeah. And seeing that his hands, he was all in white, except for his hands were black, shiny gloves. Mm-hmm. Otherworldly, like not understandable, like complete, like Lynchian. Yeah. Yeah. Those are the only moments that like made me like feel anything in particular. Yeah. Of like, oh, something new. Yeah. Something I haven't seen before. Yeah, there were some cool in-between shots. I remember like a silhouette on the floor, and like red and blue light in a doorway. And then when the thing is exploding in the water and the red port. Oh, like the nuclear core is like under a pool of water to keep it cool or something. Yeah. And it like is with different like applications of control room wheel energy. It like turns different colors. Yeah. And like bubbles the water. Yeah. Yeah, that was beautiful looking. Yeah. Yeah. Just, there was nothing. Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say I wish I knew her name, the girl that's kind of the femme fatale of the movie. Her house. I love her house. I just want to be in her house all the time. The secretary's house? Because she was Chinese, and so it's like Oriental decorations of her house. Okay, that sounds, but it was beautiful. I loved it. It was all like pale wood, except for shining scarlet. Yeah. Like the only decorations in her house were these bright scarlet things against pale wood. Exactly, yeah. That was cool. Yeah, that was really beautiful. That was weird. Him like setting up a scene in the bedroom and then putting a card table out. Yeah. And just playing solitaire. Yeah, so Bond loves cards. Like he's either gambling at a casino or he's gonna like play cards by himself, and that's the way for him to like not be like reading or looking like bookish, but clearly like being like just in his own world, like enjoying something. Maybe? He enjoys life. He even enjoys conquering evil. Yeah. Like so. Oh, and waiting. And they like collide with each other, or they don't contradict each other. Yes. Like he's gonna enjoy himself even while he's waiting for a villain to show up so he can fucking brutally murder him. Yeah. Yeah, so that must have been like really cool at the time. I don't know. We live in a post-James Bond world. So
yeah, I guess we do.
it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to like get back to a pre-James Bond consciousness.
Well, okay. Here's another question I have. At the casino, he hands the girl his card. He's like, I'm Bond, James Bond. Like, here's my card. Let's like hang out later.
Uh-huh.
And then, yeah, like, isn't he's a secret agent? Isn't he supposed to like? Isn't there like an identity thing where he's supposed to like hide who he is? And
I mean, yeah, that's like a glaring question in every movie. Why is he saying his name out loud?
Okay. This is obvious.
If he's a spy, why is he giving his real name?
Yeah, that's my question. Okay.
It's because it's a movie and James Bond is a sick fucking sounding name.
It's true. Yeah.
I wanted, like, because of those scenes that made me feel something of like otherworldliness,
Yes.
otherness, alienness, newness. Like, I wanted the confrontation with the villain himself to be something.
I mean, there are like really simple ways to create that effect better. Like just having the room where they meet each other be darker could have added to that. Like, what if they're like standing in front of the aquarium and it's dark except for the light from the aquarium, and then suddenly Dr. No is there and it's like the water is like reflecting on his face and it's like you're kind of like focusing in on him.
You're seeing the fish playing silhouette against his face.
And then like as he talks, like you're kind of like slowly able to like see him more, and maybe he lights a candle or something. I don't know, but like it's like illuminated more slowly, and like it doesn't have to change. Like the storyline is dumb, but it can stay dumb. But just that feeling of confronting him could feel more mysterious.
Well, yeah, the center of the strangeness should be the most strange.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it? It should not be a normal dinner table.
Yeah.
With like very identifiable vintages of
Exactly.
Chardonnay.
Yeah.
And like waiters.
Yeah, and even that's making me think.
And a fully lit room and.
Yeah, like the way that the whole thing feels like a palace and there's servants and guards. Like it would actually be way more intense if it was like when they do meet, there's no one else around. And it's like, okay, is this guy also like a fucking ninja? Like how's he gonna defend himself from me? We don't even know like what kind of power he has. Something like that. But all the guards there, it just feels so like it's a less intense confrontation.
Yeah. And it would have been cool to not give his whole story.
Yeah.
Like, to leave the theater still not fucking knowing who Dr. No is.
Yeah.
If it could have been like
he needed to describe what he was going to do so that we have a sense of why Bond needs to stop him. But how he got to that point could remain a mystery, and that would be more intriguing.
Yeah, if you could just see like pieces of his history.
Yeah.
And like statements from Dr. No that seemed like non sequiturs, but were like philosophical statements about the nature of reality.
That would be interesting, yeah.
That like are a little skewed, but are like seem right and on their surface are completely accurate to reality, but like are reflective of a psychosis.
Yeah.
That's
a good idea.
But then isn't like clearly delineated. You have to like fill in the gaps of how proceeding from that belief statement creates someone like Dr. No.
Yeah. Okay, I have another thought that for adding background to him, if they wanted to do that, using the like maids and the servants and the guards to just like say little things about him, like, oh well, he lived here, like Great Gatsby, you know, everyone's has rumors about him, and so it keeps it clouded and like, is this Dr. No's story that he's told people? Is this just things people are making up? Like, we don't really know, but like, this is the world of him and the myth of him.
Yeah, if all of the servants and people could basically be Dr. No dispersed through different people.
Right.
And like, you get a little piece of himself from that lady.
Yeah.
A little piece of him from that guard.
Mm-hmm. God.
I'm just remembering that weird shower scene. where they have to bathe the Bond girl.
They have to take their clothes off. Oh no.
You almost see her naked. Almost. That's the punchline of that like really long scene.
They're like on like a conveyor belt going through showers.
That was so weird.
Oh God.
Why are we putting so much running time into scrubbing them?
Yeah, like how much of this, so I feel like this is a thing that people I see online will say like, we're done with sex scenes in movies, like we don't need it anymore. There's enough sex scenes available in the world, you know? But I feel
that's not true.
Well, I feel like in the 60s, they're like just discovering being able to convey, like they're pushing, like how much can we show and how much sexuality can we convey.
Oh, and it was like a big fucking deal to see that much of the Bond girl in that scene.
Yes.
And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, I can imagine that. Like, she's taking her clothes off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah.
I do not think that's accurate at all that we have enough sex.
So I was kind of like, yeah, I can see that. And then I saw, what is that movie? It's the Lynch one. It's the one where there's a saxophone player.
When there's a what?
Saxophone player.
Lost Highway.
Yeah, Lost Highway, thank you. The sex scene in Lost Highway is obviously amazing and mythical. Yeah. And so, yes, it can be done. Yeah.
It's like new mythical.
Yeah.
It's Americana mythical.
Yeah. Oh, God.
It's on top of an American muscle car in the LA desert.
Wow, cool. Oh, no. Marilyn Manson later with like...
Yeah. Okay, well.
Yeah, I think we covered it.
Yeah, now we have to write about it. How are we gonna manage that?
I think I'm gonna give it away here. I think I'm gonna really
we can just cut this part out.
This, like.
Yeah, we can cut this part out.
No, we're here with this.
Okay.
Just kidding. Yeah, I want to explore this like archetype of the like American everyman, like sort of a buffoon, but also suave and charming and like gonna get the job done. Like, what do I think of that, and how does it work, and how does it fail?
Yeah, that's like, I'm applying that to myself, and that's like the part of my masculinity that's been like pointed out throughout my life, the buffoonness.
Really?
And,
okay.
Like, you're not aware that you're doing this. And like, you're a bull in a china shop right now.
Okay.
Fucking quit it.
Okay.
And but then that's also like a real strength of masculinity. is like...
Yeah, it's kind of
It's
go
just,
forward.
Just go forward and trust it, and trust yourself, and trust your basic, like, goodness.
Yeah.
If you feel a certain way, act that certain way, it'll work out.
Yeah.
And then my, like... and then because I have, like, a basically intellectual bent, like, I've really taken it to heart when women have, like, snipped me for being too much. And so because I'm, like, have an intellectual strain to me, like, really step out and really take that to heart.
Totally.
And, like, I then think way too deeply about it and try and, like, rewrite things and, like, make it better and make me better.
Yeah.
Too much.
You think? Why do you think too much?
Because I have this, like, walking on eggshells attitude I've had to grow out of about being in physical reality at all.
Yeah.
And James Bond is a mixture of the two. Like, this bold confidence driving forward and a very clear objectivity, an intellectual objectivity that is distanced from the whole thing and can, like, see from a bird's eye view and make decisions.
Is that true about James Bond?
Oh, well, that's, like, the myth of him.
Yeah, that's the idea. That's how he gets shit done. But I don't know, man. Like, I guess... Okay, something that he does is he's very interested in actually engaging with every trap that is set before him. Mm-hmm. And to me, I'm like... Don't bother with that. Just go straight line to where you know the core of this is already. Mm-hmm. You know? And that, like, engaging with every trap thing seems like part of what I think is, like, silly about him. But that's also that, like, lover archetype manifesting itself of just being truly, like, interested and wanting to, like, feel out the whole game that's been set up for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't have to keep being for the pod, but anyway.
Sure. Yeah, I have no fucking idea what I'm gonna write about, but I usually don't.
Liar.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like for Dune and Hanging Rock, well, I guess I kind of created the Hanging Rock one, but for Dune, you were like, here's what we're doing, and I was like, okay.
Oh, I didn't know that after we watched Dune, though.
Okay.
And after we made the podcast.
So we have to have, like, a really weird experience the next, like, 2 days.
Okay.
What are we gonna
do? Who is Dr. No? Who's the closest
I could paint my truck with, like, a dragon face. Is that helpful?
I don't want you to be Dr. No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Could Kevin Grossman be?
Yeah,
Dr. No?
Yeah, that works.
Sierra Nevada is the...
Yeah, because, that would be an amazing place to have, like, a control room. Yeah.
We go on a tour.
We can't even, like...
sneak off into the... and try and fuck up their whole operation.
You're taking over the world, stop. Oh my god.
Okay, we just got out of jail 6 months later.
Do we are right up?
Yeah, we know it.
Are we like thrilled? That's so good.
That is an interesting question that I'm interested in, though. Is there possibly a way to engage this momentum?
We could go to a shooting range.
Oh, and shoot guns?
Yeah, we could shoot guns.
Fucking Christ.
I know, Steffi has a gun. We could shoot Steffi's gun.
Do we share?
That seems right? Yeah.
To share Steffi's gun?
Yeah.
What kind of gun does he?
I think he has multiple guns, so maybe we
Okay.
wouldn't have to share.
Okay. That'd be better if he had multiple guns. Oh, well, Austin has guns too. We can put all...
It's gonna be great.
Make a pile.
Oh my god. What else happens?
What else happens?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, like, nothing else really. Car chases. We could, like, stage some car chases.
Yeah. But we'd have to tap Sarah for that.
Yeah.
And I'd like to not do that for as long as possible.
That's fair.
It's inevitable, but...
It's inevitable that we will have to tap Sarah to stage a car chase eventually.
I cannot wait.
Ooh, I'm imagining like what movie we'll watch that will actually require such a thing.
Necessitate a car chase experience to accurately write about it. It's inevitable that we do all 9 Fast and the Furious films. I don't mean that at all. It fucking suck.
That's awful.
In my opinion.
You know what I would do with Dune? I brought up Mad Max, and you said you like Mad Max. We could do Mad Max.
Fury Road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's still pretty recent since the last time I've seen it.
Yeah. Well, whenever you're ready to hit up Sarah again, schedule it.
It's like, that movie in particular is so close.
Oh. Okay.
Way too close.
Okay. Sorry.
I can't even like see the thumbnail without
Yeah.
like having feelings and having to like, no, scroll back to the thumbnail, look at it, deal with it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But the shooting guns thing, that's a good idea.
Yes. Excellent.
Because guns are cool.
Yeah.
But-
We could dress up for it to be like suits.
Oh, like James Bond
Yeah,
spies
yeah.
that are shooting guns?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we gonna have to wear headphones though? I fucking hate that.
Yeah, I hate that too.
It seems so like, well, just, this is the reason why I haven't handled guns at all in my life.
Yeah, it's so cringy.
Pointless.
Yeah.
It adds to nothing. It leads
Yes.
nowhere.
Right.
Do you want to kill people? Okay, then it does
Yeah.
lead somewhere. I know that I don't want to kill people.
Yeah. My little sisters grew up learning to shoot like rifles because their dad wanted and eventually created this tradition of taking them to Idaho every year for like 2 weeks on a long camping trip where they would shoot deer. And so they both like have killed like lots of deer, and they're both just like, yeah, like at home shooting guns. And this
That's
like,
hot.
they're just like huge jackets, huge snow boots, just like hours in like the wilderness, like
Yeah.
not a campsite, the wilderness.
Wow. That's
And
sick.
just like them and just like all these men in their family.
That's sick.
Yeah, they're cool, but I would hate that experience.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, me too. I try not to kill animals
Yeah.
when it can be helped.
Yeah.
But all that means is, like, I would hate having to wear the headphones while we shoot the guns.
I agree.
It would still be cool. Meaningful to write about this. I might just have to, like, have us make something meaningful to write about this.
Like, drive really fast.
Yeah. It could be cool.
Make a big aquarium.
Make a big aquarium. Fill it with tuna.
Magnifying glass. Okay.
Wear black gloves.
Are we ready to write about this?
Invite people into it.
Like a weird performance art thing.
Look at what we built.
Okay, here's a thought. Bond is representing like Western capitalist culture, and the Chinese are representing like communist culture.
In the movie?
In the movie. But Dr. No has been like rejected from both of those and sits in the middle and kind of rejects the entire premise of this like political spectrum and all of it, and he doesn't care about any of that. And in terms of the movie, like that's sort of what makes him the most evil, is he's like not even like in the real context. Like he's so insane because he's like,
and he's so powerful.
Yeah.
Like the different organizations and governments don't even know what to do with him because he's so Einsteinian.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he's like potentially a god of men.
Yeah.
Because he's the uniting of these polarities.
Right.
Of communist China and Western civilization. He's like both of them.
Yeah.
So he's meant for greatness.
Right.
He's meant to be like the savior or something.
Right.
And then he's like, I lost my hands though.
Yeah.
Or something.
And he's been rejected by both of them instead of being like, what if he was embraced by both of them? Then he would be this like unifying figure, you know?
Well, he would still need to reject both of them voluntarily.
Yeah, to be like individuated or something.
Well, to be like truly a savior, he couldn't be beholden to like the concerns of men.
Right. Trying to make the villain a hero. But yeah, that seems like kind of relatable to something that I've been thinking about, right? Which is just feeling like there's these two ends of the spectrum, and I'm interested in hosting like a salon event where like they're in conversation with each other. And I guess I do have certain opinions, but I'm also, I feel in like a very exploratory place with it, and and in some ways that just puts me nowhere, and then I feel like I relate to Dr. No.
Are you Dr. No?
Yeah, like I'm a penguin truck like a dragon. It's gonna be great. Oh, that would be awful.
That tank looks awful.
It looks so bad. Yeah.
That's the stupidest things I've seen.
Yeah, it could have been like really cool. Like,
I don't know.
well, not like the way that they did it, but before, when just people were describing it,
there
I was imagining
myth.
like
The people were saying there was a literal fucking dragon.
Yeah, and then they were saying it breathes fire, its eyes glow, and like it growls or something. It's like I was thinking of the motor, and so I was picturing like this must be a machine, but like
It could
I
have
was
been.
imagining like a very beautiful like metal thing that was constructed to look like a dragon in like almost an artful way.
Yeah.
It was basically doing the same thing but just looked cool.
Yeah.
I guess I'm really on that trip.
Making dragons.
Yeah. Oh. I know what we should do.
Oh, should I have something to write about? Should make some dragons. Yeah. Shoot some guns. In which we build a dragon and then shoot it.
I somehow become more bro-y than ever, but like don't feel like it at all.
I'm basically done.
Yeah, me too.
But about like Mad Max and Fury Road, like there's like seeing movies like this, we're trying to like, you know, we were hoping to see something new that we didn't know about cinema, I think.
Yeah.
Like, and the same with Metropolis. We were hoping to like see something like some artifact of true, pure, like, oh, this is the purity of it.
But I was like satisfied by my experience with Metropolis. Like I felt like I saw something I hadn't seen before, quite.
Me too.
Yeah.
For like healthy portions of it.
Yeah, not the whole, like, there were parts that were...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's really hard to talk about like things like Fury Road. And I'm like also thinking of like, oh, what's one of the best movies? It's Portrait of a Lady on Fire, I think.
Yeah.
It's one of the best movies.
I agree. I love that movie.
But like, how the fuck do you talk about it?
I have so much to say about it. I'm obsessed with the Orpheus myth, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm obsessed with like the Sapphic meditations. So
yeah.
Just provide all this context and set us in like a big whirlpool of...
I guess it's just like a very specific currently thing where I've seen those movies so many times.
Yeah.
It's hard to then like act like it's fresh.
But you watch David Lynch movies and talk about them, even though you've watched them a million times and you like them.
But that's David Lynch. Like, it's so fucking weird.
Okay. I feel like maybe what's amazing about like Portrait of a Lady on Fire is that it makes an extremely human experience like feel as intense as this weird psychedelic thing. Maybe not as intense, but almost as intense.
It seems to me like a movie like that is like, oh, this is what images on a screen are supposed to be doing. That was the effect of that movie.
I like Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Mm-hmm. Like every single image was so fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
And we see images on screens,
right.
And it's like, this is like, this shot of this angle of this composition, like, is interchangeable with countless other movies that all suck.
Yeah.
And it's not even that compelling of an image in the first place.
Yeah.
And Portrait of a Lady on Fire was like, no, this is like an awareness that you're looking at a screen and it's an image and it has to like reach out and touch you in a certain way, but not for too long. It has to like be going somewhere.
Mm-hmm. So like working with the composition of frames or scenes, almost the way that you would compose like a painting, but there's like actual narrative going on and characters do move.
Mm-hmm. And there's an awareness in that movie of how much you can actually take in a given frame.
That's true, yeah.
Like how much visual information can you actually see with your conscious mind and actually appreciate.
Yeah.
And so they like take everything out accept a woman's face.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that, like, I've cast this woman because her face is so interesting.
Yeah.
And her eyes like widen in
Mm-hmm.
such a beautiful way.
Yeah.
And that's so, like, there's
such a good movie. Oh my
there's
God.
so much subtle information there that, like, I really have to keep everything else in the shot minimal.
Yeah. Okay, I'm getting ideas for my next movie pick.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good.